And I think being able to be your own boss, and I talk about it as the most flexible but inflexible job that I could have chosen. So it's just been a really cool, super different venture.
Yeah, it's a bit of an illusion, the whole flexibility thing, isn't it?
Absolutely, it is.
Particularly if it's going well, right?
Yes, correct.
Welcome to The Lowdown. I'm here with Sam. Sam is one of Low & Co.'s newest agents, and we're going to talk about getting into real estate, how Sam got into it, what the challenges were, what they've been, and how she's found a massive career change, like jumping into a crazy commission-only sales environment. So, Sam, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Just to start off, what motivated such a crazy career change? I mean, commission-only sales, it's pretty brutal. What made you think of real estate, and how'd you get into it? Tell us the story.
I've always thought of real estate potentially as being a career choice. I moved into the public sector a couple of years before they started going through all of their restructures. Got to my third restructure and was like, I just need to make a choice whether I try and stick it out or get into a job market that was really diabolical, to be fair, of going through and trying to get interviews. So one day I just decided I'm taking redundancy and I'll figure it out. And then I started meeting with a few people that had different careers to see what they did, what they loved about it. And I met with a real estate agent and he talked about it. He kind of told me the grim parts of it, but also the really cool parts of it as well. And it was about $1,000 to put in to do the study. So I thought I may as well try it. And if I hate it, I'll try something else. And then did it, met with you guys, and here I am.
Nice. And so was that random, or did you seek out this guy who was in real estate as a potential, like at the time?
So I talked to my dad and I said, who are some people that you think have cool careers that I could have a chat with? And I did like a careers evening-ish with myself, going to coffees with people. So I talked to someone from HR, talked to someone from real estate, talked to someone that kind of went in and did sessions with teams to talk to them about their culture and stuff. So talked to lots of different people, and the real estate just really resonated with me. And I think being able to be your own boss, and I talk about it as the most flexible but inflexible job that I could have chosen. So it's just been a really cool, super different venture. Yeah,
it's a bit of an illusion, the whole flexibility thing, isn't it?
Absolutely, it is.
Particularly if it's going well, right?
Yes, correct.
And so, I find that really interesting because when I got into it, it was like a $300 course in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But tell us now, like what the course, what the requirements are, how long it takes, what's it like these days?
So I found it actually hard to try and figure out how to get my real estate license. Like if you Google it, you'd think that it would just come up and say, do this, do that. So I got put onto Skills, which is all just online based, and they give you 6 months to complete it. But essentially you can do every module as quickly or as slowly as you'd like. So I'd already taken redundancy. So I was free as a bird and I was doing Uber Eats in the meantime. So I could.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, I did it to get some money, but to also... I don't like navigating things. If you ask me what my left and my right is, I'll have to think before I tell you. So I wanted to get more of an idea of where things were and get more comfortable just driving around, going to people's houses. So did that. And then I think from start to finish, it was about 3 months from when I started to when I actually had my license. So I did it quickly. I wasn't there to muck around.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. So it's expanded out from the sort of 3 weeks and $300 it was in my day. But it was $1,000 in 6 months for most people nowadays. That's cool. And so in terms of like skills that you had in life, because I just want to say, you've been amazing and have, Low & Co is known for being a place for the best agent, best home for the best agents. And we've typically been an attraction agency that, people have come when they've been experienced as a place where they know they will grow their business. So that's been our traditional model. And so it's quite new for us to bring new people on. And you've been an absolute joy to work with. I just want to say that. And so what do you think the skills that transfer from your past, how they have related to real estate and what's made you successful quickly?
I think coming from a heavy regulated background, so I was in banking for about 8 years in customer service and banking, and then obviously public sector. So I'm super used to having to tick all the boxes, dot the I's, cross the T's. So I think it's really natural, all of the regulatory stuff behind real estate that I think people tend to struggle with a bit.
Can be overwhelming, can't it?
Yeah, absolutely, where this seems like less than what it would be for me typically. So that's been really useful. And I think customer service in general has been super useful coming into it. Like realistically, I even made an Instagram about it that real estate isn't necessarily a numbers game, it's a people's game. And so having that natural ability to build rapport and be bubbly with people, I think has really helped me be successful in the short amount of time that I've been here.
I agree. I think that's a great summary, Sam. I mean, you've got a natural charisma, a great sense of humor, and then you combine that with, with some detail focus, which isn't always every salesperson's strength.
Absolutely.
So it's great. And so, and what surprised you when you sort of first, locked into the job? What do you think the biggest kind of, penny drop or kind of, wow, that's different than what I imagined?
Yeah. The people were nice. So
Which people?
No, not you, no. All the people within Low and Co. So coming from salary and going into commission only, you kind of have that feeling of the dog eat dog type of world. And I was just so surprised how nice everyone was to me and how willing they were able to just give up their time. I mean, when I first started and I just sent a message and I was like, if anyone's willing to take me on to their open homes and show me what to do. And I had 5 people reach out being like, yeah, come along. And I just literally jumped in the car and went open home with people. And I just didn't expect that experience to be them so giving, because they're not getting anything out of it realistically by showing me the ropes, but they're just so happy to give their experience and their time, and it was really cool.
Cool, and that's great feedback for me, and I'm proud of the team for being welcoming. I think it's wonderful. And what about the job itself? What was the biggest surprise about being out there selling real estate that you wouldn't have imagined?
I suppose the amount of people that have more of an idea than I thought that they would. I suppose when I went through my home ownership journey, I had absolutely no idea what I was looking at. Show me a limb, show me a building report. The house looks pretty cool. I want that one. I didn't think about the rest of it. I've been really surprised at how in-depth buyers are and what they know about the limbs. They know about the building reports. They know about cladding. It's just really interesting to see how much knowledge there is sitting out there. And I think it's good to keep real estate agents on their toes. There's that ability to not just kind of talk the talk, you have to walk the walk as well and know what you're talking about.
So you think the buyers are a bit more sophisticated and a bit more knowledgeable these days than perhaps they were? I mean, that's a really interesting insight. So, I think there's been a lot of change since I started in real estate, which is back in the sort of caveat emptor or buyer beware days, where it was sort of, no care, no responsibility. Now it's all care, all responsibility. Yeah. And I think that, perhaps that is an interesting point. I haven't really thought about it before, but perhaps that's also helped educate the public to some degree, and perhaps the public are more sophisticated in the way they approach it now that they understand more about the regulations and how they work.
Yeah, I think using ChatGPT and stuff helps so much as well. The things that they're able to just do at their fingertips really quickly to figure things out. I think it's very interesting.
And so what about, obviously it's a brutal industry in the sense that it is, commission only. Yeah. You wake up every day unemployed effectively.
That's fun.
You gotta hunt and search for both your job or your work. Yeah. And then you've got to actually sell the houses. So you've got to find people that want to sell through you, then you've got to sell the houses. How have you dealt, or how have you found that sort of irregular income, and what would your advice be to someone getting into it in terms of how they should think about, having a buffer, or, how do you deal with that?
Yeah. So obviously I took redundancy, which had a redundancy payout, which was great. I also did Uber Eats to get some little droplets of money coming in, but I've got a really good support system with my family and with my partner as well. So there's never a day that I'm going to wake up and think, oh, I'm going to be homeless because I can't make this payment or whatever. So I think I'm really lucky in that sense, but I think getting things together where you know that the want for money isn't going to overtake what you're actually doing. I took on the thought of I'm learning or I'm earning really quickly. And whenever things happen, I'll be like, well, I'm learning something, so it's fine. And I think I just had to take the money out of it. Money's great, but I'm having so much fun too. This is my most favorite job that I've ever had. I feel so myself doing it. And so I think that joy of doing the job has taken over the money side of it a bit more, but it is nice when the paydays come.
It's great to hear because, I think, you've got to love it. Yeah. If you don't love it, if it's just the money, I think it's important for it to be about the money. Because, ultimately, we've got to, you are building a business, and that is the scorecard at the end of the day, right? But at the same time, it's really important to enjoy the day-to-day and the hunt and the thrill of the hunt and, the thrill of getting deals together and the people side of it. What about, just that rejection side of it? What do you think about that? Anything you would, expand on in terms of rejection, how to deal with it?
Yeah. As a natural people pleaser and someone that I want people to like me, and if they don't like me, I'm like, but why? What did I do? I think it's natural to let that rejection kind of hit a little bit, but then understand that that rejection puts you onto the next thing and the next thing, and not let the lows get you low enough that it becomes an issue. I think if we try and pretend like it doesn't affect us, or we're all just rubber and it goes off, I don't think that will work. I think you just have to get really okay with it not being about you. It doesn't always have to be about you. It can be so many other things happening, and then just go on to the next thing.
Nice. No, I think that's a good way of looking at it. I like to explain it as in real estate, to succeed, it's good to be able to get high off the highs and not too low off the lows. Yeah. So water off a duck's back when you get a no, and then high-fiving when you get a yes. Yeah. That's the best way to be. It's easier to say than to do when you get 10 in a row or something like that. But it's a really important part of it. Yeah. So that's interesting. And I agree with you on the just to go back to that money thing, I was going to say, so, sounds like you've got a great support network, which is really helpful. If somebody didn't have that or getting into it today, would you say, they probably need sort of 6 months worth of, if you had 6 months of income? Yeah, I think so. That's probably about right, isn't it? Absolutely. Yeah, and if you're, to kick off. Yeah, if you're able to work while doing the papers, like it's not rocket science that you're going through it. Like the hard part with the papers is that you have to get 100%. You can't, there's not like C's get degrees with any of it. You have to go back. But I think if I was able to work through it, that would be a better kind of buffer. But yeah, I think 6 months would be nice to have sitting there to make sure that you don't have that kind of like commission breath, right? That you're just like really, really needing have to get the deal done. Yeah,
exactly.
It's a great point. And I think, the key as well is that it is also good to have something chasing you. Yes. Because actually that's motivating, right? And you really need to be self-motivated in this job. If you're not self-motivated, it'll never happen for you. So you've touched on some of this already, but I'd love for you to expand on, the support systems and, what you've experienced getting into real estate and how that's impacted your role. Yeah.
I think coming into a commission only where you're technically your own boss, you don't know what to expect, and it's really scary when you don't technically have a manager and your manager's manager and all of that sort of stuff. But there's the academy that's been set up that we meet up on a Friday and we go through a training session, and we have online huddles all throughout the week. And I've been really lucky to start with a couple of other people as well who aren't necessarily new, but they're new to Low & Co. So it didn't feel like I was the only new person there and everyone else had been there for ages. And I think when I went through looking at companies, I went to 5 companies because I wanted to kind of like test the waters, see who I wanted to go with. I think I remember saying to you, if you don't give me the ick, then I'd like to work with Low & Co, because Jason hadn't. And I was very particular on why people got hired. I didn't want to go somewhere that they're just hoping for new recruits to come in and they're picking everyone. I wanted to be chosen because I was the right fit, and I wanted the people around me to be the right fit as well. And so a lot of people said, don't go to Low & Co. They don't have new agents. They're not going to be able to give you the support. And in my gut, I was like, no, Low & Co's it. This is what we're doing. And I came in and it's been great so far. I think it's been nice also to be a part of the growth of the academy and what works and what doesn't, and kind of be the like sounding board a bit for potential new agents that are coming through in a potential new era of Low & Co, which is cool.
It's really good feedback, and I appreciate that. I think, it's a credit to you, because we were very, very picky about who we took on. And I think, we will continue that, because the reality is that we want people who are both going to be fantastic at what they do, but also a fit with our team and, people that we love. So, we're going to continue to be very picky. But I think, Low & Co's at a size and scale now. We've had probably 60 odd salespeople join us from other companies. Yeah. And that's been a huge part of our growth, because it's a great place to grow. It's a platform for growth, right? That's what we really are. Yeah. And so people who want to grow, this is the best time for them. But at the same time, we're at a scale and size now where we do have the resources to train people. And I think, we can get people from 0 to 15 sales way quicker now than we would have been, 15 years ago, because we've got the resources and we can show people, people have to make mistakes themselves. But if we can get people past some of the big major mistakes early, much quicker than they can get on their own, then I think we can then take them from that 15 sales to 30 and beyond much quicker. And I think that's the goal. So,
I think if you had have told me at nearly 6 months I'd be close to 8 sales, I wouldn't have believed you, because I think the main thing going into real estate, everyone says the first year is going to be so hard. Prepare to be the hardest part of your life. And it's been like the most exciting 6 months of my life so far, which has been very nice. Obviously there's been down parts and there's going to continue to be so, but it just feels right. I am making some money. I'm happy with where I am. It's been really cool.
I mean, there are some, if you look across the Wellington city, there are some agencies that only do about 6 sales average per agent in their business across the whole year as an average across the entire team. So to do 8 in 6 months is in the first year is just fantastic, or first 6 months is absolutely fantastic. We should be very proud of it.
Thank you.
So in terms of perception versus reality, I know we talked a little bit about this already, but there's a bunch of sort of myths or common myths out there about real estate. Obviously, real estate agents are greedy. What else would we say? What are some of the myths we could think of?
Rude, all about themselves.
Yeah, there's that sort of perception that we contribute to the housing crisis.
Yes.
There's that sort of perception that we're out for ourselves, or that what did you have any of those perceptions when you came in? What are your thoughts on that now, and what have you seen in the business?
I think a perception is that real estate agents make a lot of money really quickly and don't have to do much work for it.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I think there is the ability to make good money, but the hustle you have to do to get there is far different than you'd be in a salaried role. Like you say, waking up every day without a job, like you have to push and you have to grind, and your phone's always on. You're at dinner and you're taking a phone call. Someone's ringing you at 10 o'clock at night and you're in bed and you're pretending you're awake and everything's fine. Like being on 24/7 and being the only day off is technically your Saturday, that becomes so sacred. And it's a lot, people, that you're putting into it. And I think that's a myth that I didn't think that it was going to be, but I think it's a very big perception for people that you kind of just wear heels and drive nice cars and do whatever, and that's what it is. Out
and suddenly you got 20 grand in your back pocket.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, even if you do take one buyer to one home once and they end up buying it, you may have been talking to that buyer for 3-4 months prior to that and taking them to this many homes and talking to them about everything. So I think it gets a bad rap because of how good it can be, but there's just so much that goes into it beforehand.
It's not for everyone, that's for sure, eh?
It's absolutely not. And I think you find bad people in every role, right? Like you'll find, if you look hard enough, you'll find a negative person or a trash person somewhere. Like,
well said. That's exactly, my philosophy on that is if you take 200,000 people, there'll be a certain percentage of them that are bad eggs in some way, or immoral or unethical. And that doesn't matter whether they're doctors or real estate agents or accountants or whatever. It's pretty much going to be roughly the same kind of percentage throughout that every profession.
Yeah.
I agree. No, that's fascinating. And I often think about that. It's a tough one to explain to people because people, you can't really appreciate it. It's one of those things that unless you experience it. And I think the stress too, you harbor a lot of the stress between very big transaction and, you're dealing with people in all sorts of incredible stages in their life, right? Financial difficulty, terminal cancer, I can think, all sorts of things, breakups. There's just the raft of reasons that people sell, and some of them, are really, really stressful. And so you've got to be a confidant, you've got to be a fiduciary, you've got to work in that person's interests, and then you've got someone on the other side of the table, which is the buyer, whose incentives are completely counter, and you're ultimately the sort of lubrication of that sale. So you kind of bring those people together, and that in itself can cause people to. I've seen people come into the industry and lose sleep at night, get burnout, like not be able to. You find the stress way too full on. Plus all the compliance and the disclosure stuff. If you make mistakes, they can be really grave mistakes for people, and it's not necessarily intentional. But you make a mistake on the compliance and it can cost someone a lot of money, which then puts you in the gun. So all of that is the stuff people don't see when they're thinking about that. Isn't it?
And then add on to that when you're having a bad day or you didn't get much sleep last night or something like that, you have to be on 24/7 because it doesn't matter. So I think it takes a lot of resilience.
What about hours-wise? What do you think you're pulling at the moment?
Too many. No, I'm kidding. Not enough. I think it's funny being new because you feel like you shouldn't be taking a break. Like I should be working 12-hour days, 7 days a week. And realistically, you could be doing that as well. So it's hard to find a stop for yourself. I'm probably working about 60 hours a week at the moment. And that's not like to capacity. I know that I could be doing more. And I think it's the more, even when you're doing that 60 hours, you're still on all the other hours in between. Like unless I'm sleeping, I'm here, I'm available, I'll be talking to you, I'll be doing whatever. So I think it's a big shift in the 9 to 5 or 8 to 4:30, whatever they actually are these days, where you start and you stop. There's no stop. It's just like 24/7, 365.
Yeah, that's a good point. And that's really interesting because, of course, I've worked 6 days a week for 25 years and it's just become it's just like what I do. It's just a habit. You don't even think about it, right? And it's not really work. It's just a lifestyle, I think is a good way of putting it. But it's funny how that, for most people, that would be, they just could never imagine not having at least 2 days off a week.
It's crazy. Yeah. When I had no open homes one Sunday, I was like rejoicing, like, what am I going to do with myself? It's interesting.
I would, just as general advice, say it's good to take breaks.
Yes.
And because, and this job can be pretty intense. And so, I think I do better work when I've taken a bit of a midwinter holiday and a summer holiday, than I do if I don't. If I didn't, I would end up just hating it. But if you take the break, you start missing it, then you actually, you're better when you arrive back.
Totally.
So if you were starting again, if you're going to give someone advice tomorrow that was thinking about real estate as a career, what would be the 3 top things on your list that you would say, these are the things that I would advise you to think about or to do or to, what would you?
I would do a lot of mental prep prior. I think getting yourself into a super stable mental health space is really good. This is going to take everything out of you and it's going to force you to see yourself in ways that you never expected to. So I think that's really important. Having some form of support system or making sure that you've got enough in the bank that you'll want the income, you want the money, but you're not going to need it. It's not going to get to that desperate stage where you need to do that. And I would also get comfortable with being uncomfortable with your face everywhere. So I started doing TikToks beforehand because I was like, I need to be more comfortable with it because it's confronting that your face is your brand, right? It's your business. And it is overwhelming sometimes with how much you have to have your face on everything. Like we joked about being on the back of a bus and stuff, but I'm literally trying to put my face everywhere that I can, whereas it's so unnatural to do that.
Oh, look, I think that's a great one. In fact, I wouldn't have even thought of that myself, but I totally agree with you. It's a very public profile that you build as a real estate agent, isn't it? And that's not for everyone either, is it?
No.
So getting comfortable with that is a great point. Look, Sam, it's been amazing talking to you today. I really appreciate the insights and can't wait to be involved more with the growth of your career. It's super exciting.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Cool. That was The Lowdown. If you've got any questions, please comment below and like and subscribe, and we'll be back at it again next week. Thank you.